Hello everyone, it's Corey the Fever back again for another episode. And good evening or good afternoon or good morning wherever it's the time of the world for you. Anyway, I just wanted to do another video. I've been kind of looking into it a little bit and wanted to try a video on the Pothos, aka Devil's Ivy. Right here stands the most easiest and one of the most popular plants to grow indoors. It's very common. There's lots and lots of information out there, lots of YouTube videos, so I decided to do a video on this because I haven't done one for my channel, and there's new people getting into plants all the time, new generations. So I just figured the more information out there, the better. Maybe they'll come across mine before the others, or vice versa. And I don't know about everyone else, but I like to look at several people's YouTube videos on the subject, so that I can kind of compile all of it to know as much as I can. So anyway, thought I'd do my own. I got a couple of Pothoses here. Pothoses were one of the very first plants I ever started with, so I'm particularly fond of it. Actually, this guy right here was the very first house plant I ever owned, and I've had this plant for maybe, I don't even know, maybe 15 years, maybe even more, maybe even 20 years, if I really sat and thought about it. But it's kind of thinned out because I keep cutting it to reproduce it. All of these but this one was cut off of this plant, and I have probably, I don't even know, maybe 5 or 6 more of these plants in my house. So it's kind of thinned out. As you can see, I've cut them several times. I've grown it out too. I've actually grown this plant to be where its vines were like, I would say roughly 20-30 feet. I've read on a lot of websites that they can grow to be 10 feet long, is what I'm reading. I think it's time we update that, because I've grown mine at least 20. I know people have made claims of 100 feet, and I honestly don't doubt it. I've seen these grow. This is probably the plant I have the most experience on, as far as indoor plants. And if you got the right conditions, you're taking good care of it, these things will grow. They're very hardy. In fact, they're so hardy they can even grow in pure water. And I got some pictures of Pothoses growing that have been in pure water for years. So, and they're doing just fine. They're native to the Solomon Islands, which is, lush jungle type environment. I've seen them in Hawaii. I've seen them in a lot of other places. In almost every home, any home where the person likes house plants, I usually see this one. So it's very easy to grow. It has little heart-shaped leaves, and I'll get some up close shots and pictures and everything so that you guys can kind of see, because everybody likes to see the plants, not just me talking. After all, that's what this is all about, right? So there are a few varieties. Some are more popular than others. Some are different looking. You get some with these kind of spotted type white or yellowish white type designs, and you get some of these with white designs in them. I don't know if you can see that. They can grow to a variety of sizes. I know in the right conditions, I've seen them even in Hawaii. When I went to Hawaii and ran into them in the wild, the leaves can be like literally that big, and I'm talking bam, huge vines that thick. When you're growing them inside a pot inside the house, they're not gonna grow that big. But you can get them pretty big. Like I said, this one's thinned out, but I've seen leaves easily that big before on my own plants. So they grow in a variety of soils. For the experienced garden, the more professional garden, it leans on the acidic side. For the beginner gardener, just buy some common pot soil in your local Walmart or greenhouse or whatever, and it'll grow fine. These are easy. I can't believe how easy they are sometimes, but they tolerate low light and high light, but not as good on the direct light. Okay, it's a jungle vine, so its natural environment, what it's used to, is a canopy. So you get filtered light through the leaves of the upper trees. Even though it's really warm and in a place that gets a lot of sun, direct sunlight can burn the leaves. In fact, it's a common thing for the leaves when they turn yellow. That is one of the signs, is it might be getting too much direct sunlight. So it's better to just put it in either low light to high light, but not direct. And those are probably the best areas for it to grow in. They make great house plants simply for the fact that they thrive in low light. I mean, I've had them in corners with absolutely no windows, and they've grown. So, I mean, this is an easy one. It's a good beginner house plant to start with. They reproduce, they do flower, and I'll find some fair use pictures of this. I've owned this for, like I said, 15, 20 years, and I've never seen it flower. So indoors, I don't think it's very common. You probably have to have all the stars have to align, and it's got to be all, you know, perfectly done for it to happen. So it's probably pretty rare to see, but you know, they do flower, but rare. Most common ways for this to reproduce is for a piece of the vine to be cut off and then set itself in the place where it was cut off. That's how it does it in the wild. You can cut it and put it in water, and the roots will expand and then transplant it into a pot or whatever, and that's how I do it. I mean, I've done that. I mean, I've given 50 of them to people I've known. So, I mean, it's easy to do. A lot of people are afraid to, like, cut it, thinking that it's going to kill it. A lot of beginner gardeners, experts know better, but a lot of beginners don't want to cut it because it's so beautiful and they don't want to cut their plant, which I understand, but trust me, it's like giving your kids a haircut or you're giving yourself a haircut. Trimming it up helps it grow out fuller. It bushes it out. If you like the vines, don't cut it. And what will happen is one vine will continue to grow and continue to grow. And that's where you get the 20, 30, 40 feet long vines. You can put them up around above your curtains. You can drape them around your house. I mean, I've intertwined them many times in the past. They're great plants. But anyway, I'll show you some up-close pictures with this. Root rot is a common thing because you can grow it in straight water, but for some reason when you put it in soil and the soil remains constantly wet and damp, it can be susceptible to root rot, which is just strange because I have Pothoses that they've sat in water for years and they don't root rot. So, but for some reason with the mixture of the soil and the water and it just sitting there without it being drained, it'll do that. So when you have it in a pot, it does need to dry out. But it can handle a lot of water, and it can actually sit in quite a bit of water for a while before it starts to root rot. And then the leaves will yellow, and they'll start falling off. And that's a good sign. When you start seeing all the leaves yellow, there's something wrong with it, whether it's either direct sunlight, not enough nutrients. It's pretty immune to pests, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. I mean, there are some rare cases, but I wouldn't put too much energy into that. And then root rot. Those are the main reasons. But it's incredibly hard to do. If you have a pot that drains, it's not going to do that. So I also have noticed that from transition from winter to spring, from spring to winter, even inside my house, for some reason during that time I lose a few leaves. It's nothing to be concerned about. They spring right back. As long as you're giving it some attention, it'll do fine. In fact, every once in a while I'll take a rag and I'll wipe off the leaves because they'll get kind of dusty. Or another alternative is you can stick it inside of a shower with the cool water, not warm water, and just take your shower hose and just, if it detaches, and just spray your plants down. That'll give it a good wash, and then let it drain out and then put it back where it was. That's another way I water them. So anyway, this is a smaller version. I wanted to show it to you because it's kind of cool. I don't know if it's focusing. Let me look real quick so you can kind of see it. There we go. But it has white leaves. Those ones are kind of cool. And this actually could be transplanted. Probably not going to because I hang it. And when you don't transplant it, they'll do fine. They won't kill themselves with their roots, but they will not grow big. This will be the size of the leaves. It'll probably stay that way. The vines may drape down longer, and they might even drip down to the floor, but you probably ain't going to get much bigger leaves than this. Is probably the size it's going to get. But I do like it. It's a cute version of the Pothos or devil's ivy. This one's much bigger, and I bring it over, but it's actually quite heavy. So Anyway, wanted to show you this part. Oh. This is a cutting I took from this plant, and I actually was just trimming it because the vines were draping everywhere. My kids were getting into it. And I've got another video coming on how to kind of safeguard your plants from kids. Basically the two most destructive things to gardens and home plants, and that's another video, but it was everywhere. I mean, this thing had vines that were like 10, 20 feet long, so I finally just trimmed it, cut it, and then I took some of the cuttings and put it in here. Let me see if you can see this. It's been in here for a few weeks. See all those roots? So eventually I'm just going to take this, stick it into another plot, and bam, you got yourself another Pothos. And here's another leaf growing. It's been sitting in water and it's actually growing. How's that? So here's another. Let's not knock it all over. Otherwise I do that. But here's another. I put several of them in here. So you can kind of see. I'm going to take one of these out to kind of better show it to you guys. Oh, let's see here. That's a good example. Okay, yeah, here's a good example. Sorry, falling all over the place. See the roots? You'll notice on your Pothos you'll get these little stubs. This is a good example. If it's submerged in water or really damp soil for a long time, these turn into roots. So I just cut it right there at a 45-degree angle and then stuck it in a glass of water, and here we are. There's another Pothos plant. It's that easy, okay? How it happens in nature is the vine grows along the floor, and then something happens, like an animal walks by, it breaks off the branch while this is sitting there, and it rains, and then these little nubs get wet and they sit in that soil and they start to catch. And that's how it happens in nature. Well, we can help that along, being human beings, and we can just stick it in a glass of water, and then when it's ready, transplant it. So very, very easy to grow. I don't want to be too long on my videos. There's a plethora of information. I've noticed that the more I dive into these YouTube videos, the harder it is to keep them kind of compact to 5-10 minutes. So I'm pretty sure I didn't cover this, everything there is to be about this plant. When I get to the editing phase, I'll add some more information. But if I have forgotten anything, just add it to the comments. If there's something you know about it that I don't, please add it to the comments. I just want information out there. Let's teach everybody how to do this. And like, subscribe, share, all that fun stuff. More videos to come. In fact, I got quite a wave coming this spring. It's starting to be warm. So I've got a lot of videos that I'm already starting that just haven't finished. So, but this will be my next one, is the Pothos. I recommend anybody growing houseplants to have one. You can reproduce it easily. I mean, I've gone on vacation and not watered it for weeks, and it can handle dry soil. And then I've watered it a ton, watered it, and then forgot I watered it again, and it's fine. So, in fact, a sign of underwatering when it gets too dry is what will happen is the plant starts to droop, and the leaves kind of curl in and curl around, and they just droop like there's no life in them. And in reality, the plant's depressed. When it's dying and it's dying of thirst, it's too dry, it hasn't had enough water, the plant just looks depressed. It droops, it hangs, the leaves kind of curl in on each other. I guarantee you, if you see it like that, let's say you go on a vacation for a month to France or something, when you come back, it's going to be all droopy, lack of water, but if you give it a good dose of water, in 30 minutes to an hour, it'll look like this again. So, anyway, with that being said, if I forgot anything, I'll just add it in the text during the editing phase. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Alright, some up-close shots of this so you can kind of see a little bit better. One thing I did forget to mention is Pothoses are poisonous. So don't panic. Doesn't mean you're going to die if you eat a leaf. It just means that if you eat a lot of them, you're going to get really upset stomach. I guess if you if you were allergic and you ate a ton of them, you could potentially die, but I mean, that's so beyond super rare. It's nothing to worry about. You don't want to eat the leaves or anything, though. It will upset your stomach. If you have kids, it is something to remember, because kids just put things in their mouths. In fact, that damage right there is from my kids. So if that gives you kind of any idea. But I wanted to add this second part onto there to make everyone aware of that. They are technically poisonous. If your cats and your dogs munch on them, it can give them an upset stomach. It is pretty toxic to them. In fact, more so cats and dogs than even children. So just keep that in mind. However, like I said, these are very common in houses. And I don't know when the last case a kid actually died or anything from it. My guess they just got an upset stomach and sick for a little while. But it is something to be aware of. But anyway, this is what it looks like. Kind of, at least my Pothos is. I like this version. This is my newest version. That's why I'm excited about it. Anyway, try and keep the video short, so I'll let it go for now. But anyway, that's what they look like. And wonderful little houseplant.